I'm a big fan of colonoscopies. I've had 2 so far, and they have saved my life. I hope to inspire other people who are on the fence about getting their colonoscopy or wondering about their symptoms or scared of having one to go ahead and get it and do it. You are completely out during the procedure, so unless you're allergic to the anesthesia or anything like that, you will be just fine. Please know that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a specialist, I am not dispensing medical advice in the least. I am just a patient, a person who advocated very, very strongly for herself because I knew that something was not okay right before I had my second colonoscopy. First, let's start with having a positive attitude about a colonoscopy. As I said, if I hadn't had my 2 colonoscopies so far, I probably wouldn't be here telling you my story. The age at which you should or shouldn't have your first one depends whether you have a family history of colon cancer or not. In my case, I did not, so I had my first one at 50. The doctor said, "Happy birthday, and here's your colonoscopy script." The first thing I tried was to have a really good attitude about it because just like with my other video somewhere down here about progressive lenses, if you're going to have to wear progressive lenses, you're going to have a great attitude about it. And if you're going to have a colonoscopy, the same thing. Now that we have wrapped our head around the fact that we have to have a colonoscopy, for me what really helped was thinking that this could save my life, and as I said, it did. Let's start with the cleansing that a lot of people are horrified about or very worried about. So there are different kinds of cleanses. I do not know all of them. Again, I am not a doctor. I've had 2, one of them being something that you drink, and a lot of people don't like that because they say it tastes bad. This is the 20th century. Some of these drinks have flavors. I mean, it's nothing really awful. Now, the second time, I did something different called Osmo Prep, which is what the doctor prescribed. And it's a series of pills that you down with a lot of water. The day before you have your procedure, you will have breakfast, a kind of a light breakfast, and that's kind of it. You will be able, because I didn't know this the first time, you will be able to drink broth. You will be able to have sorbet, lime-colored Gatorade. This is not a plug for Gatorade. The one that's yellow. And also have Jello, which I personally don't like, but a lot of people do, as long as they are light-colored or transparent. Between 3 and 5 p.m. that same day, depending on what time you have your colonoscopy the next day, you will start having your preparation, whether it's the pills or any other kind of cleanse that your doctor has prescribed. The way I made that easy on myself was I started the cleansing. I kind of retreated to my room. I didn't want to see my family eating yummy meals and smelling the food. So I kind of locked myself up in my spa-like room and I worked on my computer. I read books. I had everything here that I needed, and I'm close to a bathroom. Honestly, both times I have taken it as a detox. So many people do detoxes voluntarily just for no other reason than they want to cleanse their body. So this is kind of the same thing. So I thought of all the benefits. Both times my skin looked so much better after the procedure because of the cleansing. So that was one thing. And also, well, to know that you're kind of, emptying your bowels. So I took it like a day that I could rest. I kind of take time for myself. Going to the bathroom part was going to depend on your body. I didn't cramp, I didn't feel really awful. It was just like, well, I have to go to the bathroom again, here I am, and I'm not sick, so that's a plus. I was feeling well. What happened at night? Well, the first time I decided to sleep on the couch because I knew I was going to be waking my husband up every few minutes to go to the bathroom. And I kind of thought, well, I might not sleep, so let me just take it easy. I got up and work, I read, I listened to music. The second part of the cleanse takes place early in the morning before you go to your procedure. I was up and early and going to the bathroom again until everything was clear. And I remember that, just in case you don't know, I didn't know this until I had colonoscopies myself. The first time I had it, the doctor used water in my bowels. When they inserted this little camera thing, they were using water, so if the colon wasn't 100% clean, it was fine because they were putting water in there, so that made it a lot clearer. I recommend taking your own socks in case they don't give you any. I took my phone and I was able to listen to music while I just chilled in the gurney or the little bed. They will come and take your vitals and talk to you, give you an IV, And all this while I was just chilling. I took it honestly as, well, I'm here, I might as well relax. When they wheeled me into the room, I believe that was only the second time in my life that I was going to be under, but the anesthesia is the kind that you inhale, so it's kind of light, and it was actually a really great feeling. They told me to turn over, they asked me my name, this and that, breathe deeply, I was out. The next thing I knew, I was awake, and the doctor was telling me that everything had gone really well. The great thing about colonoscopies is that they tell you something right there and then. In my case, I had a very small polyp, and they told me it looked fine, but they were going to biopsy it, and that was that. And my husband picked me up. Somebody has to pick you up, by the way. You cannot drive yourself to and from your colonoscopy, so you need to have a designated driver that's going to pick you up. The rest of the day I just chilled because I had been through the cleansing and through the anesthesia and all that, so I kind of just took the day off. It was a nice way to recharge and have a little vacation. Days later, the doctor called me to let me know the good news that my polyp, my small polyp, was benign. So he told me I didn't need another colonoscopy until 10 years later. But now here's my second colonoscopy. I had a second one very recently because a year ago I started having symptoms which started as gas and abdominal distension. I was feeling kind of like indigestion. I had bubbles, gurgling, constipation, diarrhea. It alternated. I was almost scared of eating anything because I never knew what was going to hit me right, what was going to hit me wrong. I knew something was not okay. I will spare you the details of everything I went through with doctors that did not listen to me and kind of brushed off my symptoms, but this went on for a long time, and I just discovered that if something is going on in your colon, the best way to find out what it is a colonoscopy. They ran CT scans in my colon with contrast, with the contrast you drink, with intravenous contrast. They did ultrasounds and they weren't finding anything, and they were telling me I was fine. One doctor even told me, well, just modify your diet and don't eat gluten, don't eat that. And I did what she said. I was not getting better. I ended up in the ER. They ran more tests, kept telling me I was fine. And finally, when I saw the gastroenterologist, he said, you don't really seem to need a colonoscopy until you're 60 because your polyp was so benign that, it doesn't seem really necessary. But thank goodness, he said, if you want it, if your symptoms don't subside in a couple of weeks, then we'll go in with an endoscopy and a colonoscopy. And I was not fine, so I had my procedure. Everything was just the same. I took it like a small respite, a small vacation, a small detox. This time when they wheeled me into the room, the doctor said, it was a different doctor, and the way they did the colonoscopy was with air. Of course I didn't feel anything. By the time I was asking him questions, I was out. But then this time I woke up and the doctor said, thank goodness you came. Turns out that all my symptoms were because I had a huge polyp, the same place where I had the first one, but this one didn't look so good. Plus it was huge, so it was blocking my colon. Now, what happened afterwards? So I came home, I felt great because my symptoms were gone. They discovered a few other things with the endoscopy, but those are all treatable. And a week after, I'm told that the polyp had extreme dysplasia. This means, in the doctor's words, while I was in his office in a follow-up, that it was precancerous. If I hadn't insisted on having this procedure, if I hadn't decided to go ahead and book it, the doctor told me that this dysplastic polyp would have turned into cancer in around a year. Now it turns out that I have to have a resectioning of my colon, my first major surgery in my entire life. Good thing about this is that they are catching it in time. My message to you is, if you are on the fence about having a colonoscopy, if you have never had a colonoscopy, especially if you're over 50, if you have a history of family with colon cancer, which I don't, if you have a history of polyps yourself, I urge you to please go ask for a colonoscopy if your doctor has not already suggested it. This test saves lives. And while we're at it, I would also ask for an endoscopy because it uncovers a whole lot of other stuff that might not be found. In my case, they found a few things there too. If you have any other questions, please ask them in the comments. I know what it's like to be apprehensive before a procedure. I know that I have managed to somehow turn it into a positive experience every time. I'm going to have these colonoscopies once a year from now on, and I'm going to have to enjoy them. No. Things happen to us in life, they always will, but attitude is absolutely everything. I don't have a book on colonoscopies, but I have a book that is about overcoming another challenge I overcame in my life. And the book is called Reach, From Single Mom on Welfare to Digital Entrepreneur. You can find it on Amazon as a Kindle and also as a paper book. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, share it with your friends. And if you didn't really enjoy it, look at my other videos and maybe, who knows, one of them might hook you.